video ranks all 28 troops in Clash of Clans to see which troops you should be using right now. Let's jump into the F tier where we have the Wall Breaker and the Giant. These two are good at the very start of the game, but very easily get replaced and fall off after you go into higher Town Hall levels, hence why they land here in the F tier. Next, we move up to the D tier where we have the Barbarian, the Archer, and the Goblin. These three units are mostly fine within armies at lower Town Hall levels like Mass Goblin or Barch, but are relegated to niche functions at higher Town Hall levels or even just for cleanup. Now we move to the C tier. These are decent troops, but not as strong as they used to be, starting with the Golem. The Golem is pretty decent as a 30 housing space tank with a lot of HP and can be used in a nice variety of attacks, including things like Zap Witches. But as you go higher and higher up, there are not only cheaper options, but some just do its job better. We also have the Pekka going within the C tier. The Pekka was once one of the best troops in the game and can still be used at lower Town Hall levels, but outside of the Siege Barracks, it's often a relic of the past, as there are just better options for damage dealers and some that can bypass walls and some who are just cheaper. Additionally, we have the Bowler as well in the C tier. The Bowler is still a very good troop to use in different situations, such as bowler bounces for funneling or an air defense, or being used in witch spam at lower Town Hall levels, but has fallen off drastically to the point of kind of being useless outside of its super variant. There are usually just no reasons to run him unless you're planning on using the bowler bounce or within the CC at lower Town Hall levels. Next, we move to the B tier. These are solid choices that you can use in a variety of different armies, starting with the Minion. The Minion is still a very good unit as it's best for any type of cleanup regardless of the army, and it can be a good choice to snipe off buildings that aren't within range. Outside of that, it might not be as strong, but it's a really good unit that can fit in anywhere and be very useful. Next, we've got the Lava Hound going within the B tier. The Lava Hound is still a solid unit that has some areas where it can shine, such as within a Lava Loon attack of its own, being used to tank for the Battle Blimp, or even being used to tank for other air troops like an Electro Dragon. While it's not the most flexible, it has its spot in the game, which makes it pretty good. Additionally, we have the Wizard within the B tier. The Wizard is one of the few lower Town Hall troops that can still work really well at higher Town Hall levels, especially as cleanup or funneling support thanks to its already high DPS. Outside of being it within the Siege Barrack, one of the best ways to use him is to basically provide funneling right behind a tank, such as a Yeti or the Barbarian King, to help create a solid funnel. We also have the Baby Dragon within the B tier. Another strong unit for funneling, especially since the Baby Dragon offers a free rage when no other air troops are around it. This makes it very, very good, and it's relatively cheap, so it can fit in a lot of different armies. Even at lower Town Hall levels, there are attacks where you can literally use the Baby Dragon to clear out low HP or low DPS air targeting defenses and even ground-based defenses. Lastly, we got the Dragon Rider within the B tier. This might be taken the wrong way, but the Dragon Rider isn't always the best. Even though it can work really well with Hydra and Queen Charge Dragon Riders, outside of that, there really isn't much of a reason to really run this, especially with how expensive it is. So while it's not the best damage dealer, ever since the Druid was released, it actually pairs really well with it, and the Dragon Rider pairs extremely well with the dragons. Now we move to the A tier. These are very strong units with multiple different functions, starting with the Electro Titan. Despite the 32 housing space cost, she is fantastic if you can fit her into your army, or if you're using an Electro Titan based attack. The main reason she is so good is due to her Electro Aura and being able to damage both air and ground troops and defenses. This makes her very, very strong as a support in a hero dive or as a damage dealer within something like Zap Titans. Up next is the Headhunter within the A tier. Not much needs to be said about the Headhunter since, as her name implies, she's gonna mainly focus on enemy heroes, and realistically, if there is an enemy hero in the way of your heroes or your main attack, you can just use a Headhunter and clear that with ease. From there, we move to the Hog Rider that's within the A tier. The Hog Rider is a very strong unit. It has some great uses all around the game, from the old Go Host strategy at Town Hall 8 to being used within the Twin Hogs with the Super Hog Riders at higher Town Hall level. This troop is very solid. Not only that, but you can also use it to lure out CC troops or even locate traps and Teslas to help your army thanks to its cheap 5 housing space cost. The Ice Golem is also up in the A tier. The Ice Golem is a very good tank, especially since it's cheap and it has an extremely useful freeze upon its death. Unlike the Golem, it provides better tanking for the cheap 15 housing space cost, along with being better to use in most situations where the Golem would tank, as it gives you enough room for other support troops to support your heroes and the rest of your army. Additionally, the Miner is within the A tier. This troop is a very strong damage dealer, as he mainly provides better support within a group, and while being able to burrow under walls, he can very much do a ton of damage, allowing things like Hybrid to be a very strong choice. Next up is the Witch, going within the A tier. The Witch has been one of the strongest troops in the game ever since they started dominating Town Hall 9. They may not be the most viable at all Town Hall levels, but they have great synergies with other troops like Golems, Ice Golems, Yetis, or even the Root Rider. They can also work as a substitute to the Siege Barrack with the Barbarian King, but may not always be a good option, especially with hero equipment. And finally, to close out the A tier, we have the Yeti. The Yeti is one of my favorite troops in the game due to its unique mechanic of spawning Yeti mites that can really help take care of defenses behind walls. This gives the Yeti a very strong option to be used as a tank and support for funneling, or even being used as a strong user for the Yeti Bomb Blimp, where it can use the Yeti mites and the Yeti itself to do plenty of damage to surrounding defenses, even those over walls. Now we move to the S tier, the best troops that are either super strong right now or very flexible, starting with the Healer. One of the more flexible units in the game has to be the Healer, as it's great in plenty of different options like the Queen Walks and Queen Charges, the Warden Walks and Warden Charges, along with keeping your troops, like something like Super Bowlers or Super Witches, alive and healthy for as long as possible as they work around the base. Also within the S tier is the Balloon. The Balloon is additionally a very strong unit and very flexible. Similar to the Healer, it works in plenty of different things, where it can be a damage dealer in a Lavaloon, or it can support troops like dragons or Electro Dragons, or even scout for healers to protect them from seeking air mines. You may even want to use this with the Battle Blimp with the Warden to help remove buildings and soak up seeking air mines. The Electro Dragon is also within the S tier. Outside of the community being in an uproar about me not putting him here, the Electro Dragon is currently in the best spot it's ever been. It's got a lot of benefits from hero equipment, and also being in a perfect spot where most bases are compact enough to get value from it. Not only that, but the E-Dreg can be a solid unit for funneling due to its chain ability. The next one within the S tier is the Apprentice Warden. This troop provides a ton of support for ground-based attacks and has been one of the major reasons why most troops over 2k HP have been quite strong, like the Valkyrie and Root Rider. Even heroes are a great way to use this troop due to its no cap HP increase. Additionally, the Dragon is going to be within the S tier. The Dragon has been one of the strongest troops for some time, and thanks to hero equipment, it's one of the few troops that you only need due to its raw strength and 20 housing space cost. Pairing this up with Dragon Riders and or Balloons, it can be an unstoppable troop. Up next is the Druid, who is going to be within the S tier. The Druid is still a fairly new troop, and with that said, it can be super dang strong. Its healing is far stronger than that of the Healer, despite the 30-second time limit the Druid has for its healing. However, not having any hero healing stat gives the Druid a lot of strong uses, even as a temporary healer with some heroes like the Grand Warden. Another top tier troop right now is the Root Rider. Despite the multiple nerfs this troop has received, the Root Rider tanking and wall breaking abilities are still second to none, and are very much the core reason to why many still use them. It gives troops like Valkyries or even your heroes a way to enter into the base without needing to worry much, especially when it saves you from using wall breakers or super wall breakers. And to round out the S tier, the Valkyrie has moved to being one of the best troops right now. Yes, the Valkyrie went from being the worst troop in the game to now being one of the best troops. The main reason to this rise is a couple of different factors. Its HP buffs over the years is definitely one of them, since it now allows the max level to have 2,800 HP, along with the fact that the Apprentice Warden can synergize with this, giving them 3,500 HP at max level. This is only half of the HP that a Root Rider has pretty much. But along with this, they boast great DPS, as they have similar DPS to pre-nerf Root Riders. And all of this is packaged within an 8 housing space unit. Not only that, but spells like the Overgrowth have made them a lot better, where they can avoid high DPS areas, along with the hero commit. The Eternal Tome and Healing Tome is one of the main reasons to why the Valkyries are really good. Many still say that the Root Riders are the main reason for this troop's success, but the fact is, the Valkyries can be used with and without Root Riders to crush bases. And here is the list for 2024 with all 28 troops. Feel free to screenshot it if you plan on sharing it. And hopefully this video gives you an idea of what some of the top tier troops are right now. Leave a comment on what other topics you would want me to rank as a tier list, but you also might want to check out my Fireball Lava Loon guide if you want the easiest Lava Loon ever made.